On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we taste the latest batch of Dickle Bottled in Bond. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. Today, we are tasting George Dickle Bottled in Bond. This is the latest batch that came out. This is their 13-year expression. You guys may or may not know they came out with a batch, this particular batch, about 3 years ago that actually won Best Whiskey of 2019, according to Whiskey Advocate. That was obviously very controversial, especially since Dickle is owned by a large brand in Diageo. So we tasted this years ago, and it was okay. Certainly not Whiskey of the Year worthy, but I've had some people write in lately and say, hey, is the latest batch as good as two batches ago? So this batch, the batch that won Whiskey Advocate's Whiskey of the Year in 2019, was distilled in fall of 2005. This latest batch, batch 3, was distilled in spring of 2007. So we're going to taste this. We're going to give it the Whiskey Tornado score, and then we're going to rate it against the award-winning George Dickle of a couple years ago. For those of you new to the Whiskey Tornado, I'll quickly explain our scoring system. We have 7 categories. The first 2 categories are handicap. Those are appearance and availability. Then we move on to the nose, palate, finish, body, and value. We add all those up. Any score of 3 or better is bar worthy. Any score of 4 or better is bunker worthy, meaning buy extras so you have them in case the bourbon you love is no longer made. All right, guys, with all that being said, let's get into the appearance of George Dickle 13-year Bottled in Bond Batch 3. So for me, guys, the appearance on this is lackluster at best. It screams cheap to me. I don't like the bottle design. I don't like the label design. There's very little I like about this bottle. It just isn't very appealing. It doesn't make you want to buy it. It's not a bottle that you want to show off on your shelves. It's just not that great of a bottle. We're going to give it below average. We're going to give it a 0.3. Moving on to availability. The availability on this is about average. Once Whiskey Advocate rated this bottle as Whiskey of the Year, they became harder to find, probably even allocated in some spots. I see them hit and miss, so we're going to give it an average score of 0.5 on availability. All right, guys, let's get into the important stuff. Let's talk about what's in the bottle. Let's nose this. Oh, the nose on this is not that bad. There's the first whiff I got was cinnamon. You know, with George Dickle, you guys know the thing we're all looking for if you're into bourbon and you've drank enough bourbon is that vitamin minerality note, Flintstone vitamin note that everyone talks about that's in a lot of George Dickle products. I did not get that at first on this. I got more like a cinnamon apple kind of, like the filling for cinnamon apple pie if it's made with like green Granny Smith apples, what I kind of got right off the bat, which I liked. But the deeper I get into this, there's that George Dickle note. Now, George Dickle has kind of evolved for me. It's a weird thing. If I'm thinking of certain things, I can make myself enjoy this whiskey, which is obviously not something you want. If I smell or taste George Dickle and I know it's George Dickle and I'm looking for that minerality note, it really sticks out in my head. If I think of Fruity Pebbles when I smell George Dickle, I can kind of get behind it and start to enjoy it. If I think of like a green apple cinnamon pie, I can also almost get behind George Dickle. It just depends. And the George Dickle products that I really love are the ones that have the least amount of that vitamin minerality note. but I have to really trick my brain into liking it, which I'm not into. I don't want to trick my brain into liking something. But if I think of those things, I can start to appreciate it and enjoy it a little more if I'm focused on apple pie or Fruity Pebbles and not Flintstone vitamins. It's a weird thing. This is like cinnamon, apple pies, again, that Fruity Pebble note. There's a strong cherry note on the nose, but that vitamin note's there, and I just can't get past it. So I'm going to have to give it less than average. We're going to give the nose a 0.4. Okay, moving on to the palate. Let's see how this is. Cheers, guys. Wow. Lots of oak there to begin with on the palate for me. I'm going to have to take another sip. That's my first sip of the day. And the thing that really like hit me was heavy oak. So let me take another sip. There's that like strong cherry. There's that minerality though. That vitamin note is there. It's not as strong as in some offerings that I've had of George Dickle. But if you hate that George Dickle note, I'm sorry, you're not going to like this. I really try, as somebody who reviews whiskey, to stay away from reviewing whiskeys I don't like, because I don't like to be negative. But this is a very popular brand owned by an enormous company. So, you know, I never want to be dishonest. I'm not going to review something and tell you that I like it when I don't. But I'm also not going to do a review just to crap on a certain product. However, in this case, being that it's such a big company and this is such a big brand and it's won awards in the past and it's so controversial, I have to review it and just give you guys my honest opinion. But normally if I don't like a bourbon, you just won't see me review it, just so you guys know. Okay, here we go. Let me taste again here. Yeah, if I think that cinnamon green apple pie, I can like this. It can be passable, but those vitamin notes still stick out. There is that minerality there. I can't give it anything above average. I'm going to give it a 0.5 if you can think about positive things when you're drinking this. If the minerality note is something that you just cannot get past, you guys are not going to like this any more than any other George Dickle product in the past. I'm really interested to see how it stacks up against the award-winning one, though. So, yeah, on the palate, we're going to give it a 0.5. All right, moving on to the finish. The finish sticks around. There's a little bit of that minerality on the back of my palate. It has a nice, like, jalapeno spice that I don't remember past George Dickle products having. The finish is probably the greatest part about this bourbon. We're going to give the finish a 0.7. All right, moving on to the body. You know, you're talking about a 13-year bottled and bond whiskey. It's got a really nice body. If, again, you can get past those minerality notes. The George Dickle characteristics, I know, are just so strong for some people. But this is actually creamy. It's viscous. It's got good weight. Sticks to the glass. We're going to give it better than average. We're going to give the body a 0.7. All right, moving on to value, guys. This is a $40 bottle. It's a 13-year bottled and bond whiskey. So if we're starting at average and you add that it's a 13-year bottled and bond, it bumps it up to probably a 0.7, 0.8. However, when we're talking about value, we can't just talk about age and whether it's bottled and bond or not. We have to talk about what if the juice inside the bottle is good. And it's just okay. If you like George Dickle, it's not great to me. If you hate George Dickle, you're going to hate the juice. So I've got to knock it and bring it back down from that 0.7, 0.8 that it's bumped up to because of the age and the bottled and bond. And we're just going to give the value an average. It's average value for the whiskey that's in the bottle. All right, guys, that brings the overall score to the latest batch of George Dickle bottled and bond to a 2.5, making it not bar worthy for the Whiskey Tornado. You guys will very rarely see me review a bottle that doesn't hit bar worthy or bunker worthy, just because if it's a bourbon I don't like, I don't review it. And this is just okay. It's not anything great. You know, for $40, am I mad about it? You know, I keep George Dickle keeps making me think this is a big brand owned by Diageo that sources to so many different companies. And I keep thinking one of these times they are going to nail their product. It's going to be great. But, you know, this is their profile, and I don't know that it's ever going to change. And it's the same release after release. We're going to taste it against this award-winning one here. Let's see how it ranks. I'm going to smell both of these real quick. I actually like the nose on the old batch, the award-winning batch, a little bit better. It's a little more floral, which I like. There's a little bit more of that Dickle minerality on the nose on the new batch, the latest batch of George Dickle. Yeah, the nose on this is pretty nice. Yeah, I like the nose on the old batch better. Let's go to the taste. So much of those Flintstone notes. And again, if you can think of Fruity Pebbles, it helps, but I don't want to think of things that need to help me enjoy bourbon. Now, on the palate, the latest batch, more caramely. Is that a word? More caramel, creamier, maybe even a little bit more leathery. I think I like the new batch better than the award-winning batch, if I'm being honest. And I like that like jalapeno spice on there. Let me taste one more time. It's not bad. You know, there's a lot of good sweetness there. I might have been a little too harsh on it. It might be close to bar worthy, but I don't think it is. Yeah, I actually enjoy this latest batch, batch 3, better than the old batch. So if you liked batch 1, the batch that won all the awards, then I think you'll really love batch 3. So if you're somebody who loves George Dickle, I think you can get behind this latest batch. You're going to love it. It's really nice for George Dickle. I'm just not a huge George Dickle fan, so I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it helps you decide what to buy and what to leave on the shelves. If you like this review, if you like the channel, please consider helping support the channel by going to our Patreon page. You can join for as little as $2 a month. It helps me upgrade camera equipment, lenses, lighting, microphones, all that fun stuff. We do bourbon tastings. We do advent calendars, meetups, all that fun stuff. Would really love to have you be a part of our community. If you're positive, if you're negative, you can just stay, go away. If you're positive, come join our community. All right, guys, love you guys very much. Thanks for all the support. We'll see you on the next episode.